Shalom, brothers. This is Elder Tazadakba. To my right, I got this brother. Introduce yourself.
Josiah one.
And in the back, we got. Right. So today is so-called St. Patrick's Day, St. Paddy of Ireland, and a little known fact to most people who are here in the U.S. because a lot of you over there in Ireland, Dublin, and Scotland, you know that St. Patrick was a black man, even though a lot of you over there try to hide that fact. But there's a lot of you that really do know it. And there's a lot of you Irishmen here in the U.S. that actually know that, but you are representing him as being the so-called white man, and that's totally untrue. So we're just going to speak on that a little bit today on so-called St. Patrick's Day. And also another note, the snakes that he was very notable for casting out of Ireland were the Druids. And the word Druid means men of the oak. And those Druids, they were niggas. Those were Satan, occultic, worshiping niggas. That's who the Druids were. And them same niggas are back today with a different name. They call them the Rastas. So, read that scripture right now.
This is Job 13:4. But ye are forgers of lies.
Right, the scripture said that ye are forgers of lies. You go on the net, right, and you go on, it's amazing. If you go to Google Images and you punch up St. Patrick, they'll show you a barrage of images of a white man, which basically is 14th century art. All of those white images of St. Patrick's was all redone and done up in the 1400s because St. Patrick of Ireland was on the scene sometime in the 5th century. Some scholars dispute and say he came in the 6th century. But for the most part, it's like around 420 within that time when he came into Ireland, so to speak. And I believe most of the history will tell you he was sent on a mission by a pope. I think the pope's name was Pope Celestis or something like that. Celestis or Celestio. One of those two names. But he was a black man, by the way. And because at that time, that was the Byzantine Empire. Negroes controlled all of Europe. And that included Ireland, Scotland, England, Spain, Portugal, Poland, Austria, France, Germany, the Czech Republic, Russia, all of them areas, Armenia, Transylvania,
which Transylvania is in Romania.
There you go.
Bulgaria.
That's right. The Balkans.
Macedonia.
The people that are known as Serbians. Okay? The people who speak what they call the Slavic languages.
Which is pretty much Eastern Europe.
That's right. Slavic speaking peoples, which, like this brother said, Eastern Europe. Turkey.
Yep.
Can't forget Turkey, because the eastern part of the empire was Constantinople. That was the eastern part of the Byzantine Empire, or the Holy Roman Empire, or the Christian Empire. And Byzantine, the word Byzantine means backwards. We weren't backwards. You scholars called it backwards, the Byzantine Empire. So if you Google and look up the Byzantine Empire, Christian Empire, you're going to see nothing but enough black images popping up all over the screen. That's all on the net. You can look that up at any given time. But getting back to the patron saint of Ireland, St. Patrick, the day is celebrated, and a lot of people don't really understand the history, the true history of St. Patrick. There's, like, you could say maybe a little cloud over the history. When you go and look, you check a lot of different sources, you're going to get a lot of different answers for certain things. Some will tell you he's an Italian. Some will say that he was a Scot. But from most of the information I had looked into, it said that he was from Italy, and he was sent on a mission into Ireland by the Pope, who was a black Pope at that time, sitting on the throne in Rome, and his mission was basically to bring Christianity into Ireland, and because paganism was ruling all throughout Ireland, and that paganism was the religion of the Celtic Druids. The Celts, they were niggas. Those were niggas. And like this brother Elder Design, when me and him were talking, and this brother Elder Inap, You want to say a little something on that or not about the Celts, the Druids?
Yeah, the Celts and the Druids.
Speak up.
The Celts and the Druids basically were known like the elder as the doc brung out, that the Celts and the Druids would be known today now. There's a lot mixed into that Rastafari religion with the nappy head, the snake worship. Anytime you go into Satanism, you always find out they worship three key things: the sun, snakes, and women. That's just like today. You niggas are into all that. You worship your woman, you worship sun, Sunday, and snakes. The serpents.
Yeah.
Like back then, but back the Celtics and the Druids, one of the main things they used to do is not wash their hair or have it knotted up. And some would say when they would see them far away that they looked like they had snakes upon their head. Who you see doing that nowadays? Them goddamn Rastafarians. A lot of you American Negroes and mainly you so-called West Indians are heavy into that religion.
Yeah, but you know what? It's to the point now where you people don't even worship that shit. It's just y'all just want to wear that snake head because you're a bunch of demons.
Yep.
I want to like a lot of you nigga women. The only reason why you want to grow dreadlocks is because you're too lazy to get your head did. Just comb your goddamn hair, you lazy bitch.
Stop putting on them.
You know, cause when they wear that dreadlocks, they give them a reason not to comb their hair
Exactly.
and look like a fucking demon. That's the bottom line, man.
Yeah, and then on top of that, you know what? With you black ass women, you bald headed because the Most High made you bald headed, and dead hair, that is not healthy hair. All of that shit knotted up and growing, that all knotted up shit, that ain't no fucking hair. You can't take that and comb that. You can't clean that. That shit is all knotted up on your head. You know what? That's the only way that I guess a nigga bitch could grow some hair. It's a lot. Let that shit lock up and let all that dead hair.
But that's not hair.
Extend up. It's not hair though. That's not hair.
It's like a scab. You know.
And you know what? That's total bullshit. That nappy hair is not good hair, or nappy hair really can't grow. That's bullshit. Because if you see a lot of videos of me in the past, I'm nappy. My hair is nappy as a motherfucker. The hair on my beard is nappy like a motherfucker, and my hair grows. So that whole thing about your hair being nappy don't mean it don't grow. That's bullshit.
Well, only for the nigga woman.
See, it's only for the nigga.
Yeah, because she's that's a curse that you read about in Isaiah
3. Get Isaiah 3.
Isaiah 3. Yeah. But you know, like we always say, we ain't gonna sit on a woman topic. We're just making a point because really we're talking about the Druids.
That's right.
Because that thing of growing dreadlocks goes back to the ancient Druids, which is witchcraft. You're a bunch of witches, man.
Yep.
There's nowhere in the Bible that says that's righteous to look like that, man.
Hell no.
You can't. You're right. You can't justify that shit. That's just the bottom line. You know.
What happens with the Celtics and the Druids? That's where you get Halloween.
That's right.
Okay, all nothing but wickedness.
Right. So for trick or treat, you can wear dreadlocks and scare people.
Right.
You know.
Because that's why they're called dreadlocks, because
they're dreadful.
It's a dreadful look.
Yeah, and when in the early days of that bullshit religion in the island of Jamaica, them dudes used to get chased out of the towns. They used to come to town like during the daytime to sell brooms because they were expert at making brooms.
Yeah, touching myself on which to live.
But then at the end of the day, dudes would chase them back to the hills where they came from, man.
Right, because
it wasn't until Bob Marley that made that shit popular.
Yeah.
But prior to that shit wasn't popular.
Right, and
it was looked down upon.
And where did them dreadlocks dwell at? They was up there in the bush in the hills.
Up in the hills hiding.
Right, just like the Celts. The Celts were the men of the oak, and the Celts were out in the forest. Like you see, they worship under the groves. The groves are basically.
You're going, brother Slucky.
The groves are the overlapping branches, like how the branches overlap each other, and you go up under those. That's known as a grove. That's why the Druids were out there in the woods. They were known as the men of the oak. Druid basically means men of the oak.
This is Exodus 22 and 18. Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live.
Right. So that's why, like this brother Tazion once said in Jamaica, that was looked down upon, and they would come and try to sell little brooms and shit. Then they would be run back up into the mountains or the hills where their dreadful looking asses came from. Okay? Because there's nothing in the scriptures, even when you read the law of a Nazarite, there ain't nothing in there that say you ain't supposed to not comb your hair and not wash your hair.
Yeah.
That there ain't nothing that say that you ain't supposed to comb your hair or wash your hair and look like motherfucking hell. Look like hell.
That's the real hell raiser.
Yeah. Hell on top of your head. You know? Then you got all kind of things growing up in there.
They don't care.
That's nasty, man. If you have your hair braided, corn braids, right? After a while, you sweat. When you walk around, dirt blows and gets caught up in your hair. You gotta wash it.
It start itching.
Start itching. You sweat, and then the sweat collects up there. Your hair stink after a while. So you can't talk about now. Me going to use some lemon juice and aloe and wash me.
No. I'm gonna go to the West Indies and swim in the salt water for me here. You know, man, you guys are a bunch of demons, man. And you know what? That's why it's beautiful. We're living in a time now where the Lord's gonna start erasing motherfuckers, man.
Yeah.
A lot of you people are gonna be erased.
Hell yeah.
Into all your wickedness, man. All your everything, all your wickedness. All right, everything that you're into, which really everything Jake is into, whether it be Rastafarianism, Muslim, Christian church, Catholic church, Buddhism, whatever the hell you coons are into, the Most High is getting ready to erase you. The Lord's getting ready to erase you. All right.
This is Jeremiah 2:21. Yet I have planted thee a noble vine, wholly a right seed.
Yeah, the Lord planted us to be a noble vine. How are we made of a noble vine? By His word. He gave us His word. He gave us the laws, statutes, and commandments to go by. But what do our people do? You so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American, what do? Make up your own bullshit and go follow that, and then claim that it's holy, which all those different religions you people are into is all witchcraft.
That's right.
Read that again, bro.
Say yet, it said for thou, Salaki, say Jeremiah 2:21. Yet I have planted thee a noble vine, wholly a right seed. How then art thou turned into the degenerate plant of a strange vine unto me?
Right. To call yourself a Rastafari man, right? You're a degenerate. And then check out the guys that call themselves Rastafarians. They're all drug dealers.
Yep.
They love committing adultery.
Yep.
A lot of you Rastas love fucking other guys' women. All right.
Yep.
You're a bunch of demons. All right. You love smoking the herbs. Right. But a lot of y'all, but I know personally, a lot of you Rastas that smoke more than herbs. You smoke herbs. You smoke crack. You sniff dope. All right. All right. It's like you, man. But it's true. I ain't making it up. I personally know Rastas that smoke crack.
Yeah.
All right. And shoot dope.
Okay.
All right. Because you're a bunch of fucking demons. All right.
Yeah.
And that's just the bottom line.
Bunch of fucking demons. That's what you look like.
Yeah, that's right.
Like he said, a bunch of fucking demons, and that's what you look like. You look like a goddamn demon. You know, and you're a part of the world. The world is full of demons. That's why you blend in. That's why the world accepts you. You know, white people will look at you and say, "Oh yeah, that's culture right there," because you got some shit locks in your head.
But your white man's a demon. Anything demonic, he'll get into it.
Of course.
You be seeing them they be having those Rasta festivals. And who'll be up in there? The white man and the white woman.
And they got their hair locked up.
And you, Uncle Tom, Jamaican Rasta coons be loving it, boy.
Yeah.
Yes, me white brethren. Now, when I was a little boy, because I grew up in a West Indian household, and I had uncles that were Rastas. This is back in the 70s. And back then, the thing was, they hated the white man.
Right.
So now, when you watch any Come Back to Jamaica commercial, who on there smiling and skinning their teeth with the white man? They're flashing their locks. You Rastas.
Yeah, you fucking Rastas.
So really, you Rastas, you guys are bigger Uncle Toms than Brian Gumble.
Yeah. Yeah, like, you know, and that's true. Look, because you know what? In the early 80s, a popular West Indian that we all know, we watched all of his movies. He was the funniest man in the world back in the 80s. Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy, when he was on Saturday Night Live, he was 19 years old when he got on Saturday Night Live. He did a skit, and the song that they were singing in the skit was called "Kill the White People."
God, that was that's right.
But buy my record first. So if you watch the old Saturday Night Live, that was the early 80s.
Yep.
When Eddie was on there, and he had that skit, and they were singing in front of their audience was military men. There were black men in there, there were white men in the military, and they were performing. There were a reggae band performing, and then he started singing that, and crackers was getting up trying to come after him and shit. One cracker walked up to the stage, and Eddie had dreadlocks on and looked at him like he wanted to cut his throat. So back then, the dreads hated the fucking white man.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
But now
it was all a farce.
Yeah, that's all a fucking farce. But the reason why we're speaking about this is because, again,